Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the My Reader Minutes. Tonight I want to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville. It's season 10. You're looking at the app. And episode 2. I am Kenough. I don't really like the title. It's stupid. Who even thought about that? Usually their titles are a little clever, but they missed the mark on that one. Anyway, they first start off. We have um Ken, Trish, Maurice, and Kimmy, and they all hook up. And Ken and Trish think it's a good idea to hook up with them because they feel like that Maurice and Kimmy have been through similar situations, like dealing with the ex of the previous relationship. So they wanted to meet up with their friends, so they said Kimmy and Maurice because they handled the situation with Kiowa so well. Did they watch the show? Cause that one left. Not once but twice. I think the only time that there was something cordial was when they were talking about Monster. And that's when Kiowa came to the house. But even still, Kimmy was nervous because I remember her getting up and going to the kitchen, like she had to get herself together. I mean, I didn't see her, but I felt like that's what she went to go do. Anyway, so they talk about, their issue with Marquez. Um, Ken brings up the backyard party and how he felt like he handled himself really well. Like, Ken, why do you feel like you need to give your own self kudos? I feel like through this whole entire episode, you talked about how you did stuff, how you did this, how you supposed to be on top. I feel like if you did it, you shouldn't have to tell us that you did it. We would see it, right? You don't have to tell us that you handled yourself very well. Compared to who? Compared to Marquez? Marquez, part of me says Marquez don't think nothing of Ken because Ken is just a boyfriend. Plus, I feel like he knows that Trish don't really want to marry him. So he has this arrogance about him that he feels like he can walk up and do what he wants because his kids are there, his wife is still there, and he don't have to give Ken no respect. But I blame Trisha for that, for the simple fact she hasn't divorced Marquez and she hasn't set boundaries, put boundaries in place for to even give Ken the respect that he should get because he is there with her and the kids doing the fatherly duties. But I blame Trish, not Marquez, because Trish allows him to do that shit. All right, anyway. Anyway, they talk about how Marquez just walked up in the house and and then because Maurice is like, whoa, was Ken there? And he was like, no, Ken wasn't there. He was like, oh, okay. And it just seems like they going on and on about about Marquez and what he's doing and this and that. And I feel like I said, Trish is at fault on all of this. And then Ken goes into some crazy talk about how, he always talks about what he does compared to what Marquez does. And it's more like, if they go up to the school, they who do they know? They know me. They're not gonna know anybody else. When if you go up to the school, I'm the one that goes. I'm like, okay, do you want a medal, Ken? We understand that you're in the house and you're being the father figure, but he keeps talking about it over and over again. We know you're doing the fatherly duties. You seem like you're doing more than what Trisha's doing. That's what it sounds like. She just replaced Marquez with you because I don't feel like she did any of the rearing for real. I mean, let him say it. He does. He runs around with the kids all the time. What does Trish do? Just saying. Anyway, so I don't know. I got a little irritated with Kim because his thing is like, oh, I do this, I do that. Ken, you're still not their father. regardless if the school knows you or not. Bottom line, if something happened to them kids, unless your name is on the emergency call list, right? Or something, not that I wish anything on the kids, but something catastrophic happens to them kids, the next of kin is going to be informed. And it's going to be Trishan Marquez, not Ken, the boyfriend. Just saying. My goodness. So the next scene is Destiny and Martell. Um, they're at a furniture store because Martell is looking for furniture for his new investment property. He tells Destiny that Ariane is moving in, but he leaves it at that. And she's like, "Oh, what? Is it serious?" He said, "Well, she's moving into my investment property." He said, "No, we can't live together just yet. We want to be married first." But he said, moving in, my son and her daughter into my investment property. Well, I feel like he's moving into his investment properties because he can't afford to keep her in her own place anymore. It ain't like he doing it because that's the right thing to do and that he needs to be with her. He's still not even being with her. Talking about, oh yeah. She said, "Are you looking at rings?" He said, "Yeah." I feel like he said, "Yeah, kinda." But he didn't say that. He just said, she is marriage material. She's mother, she, I don't know. I feel like I think that's just for show. He said, I think Destiny was like, "Well, I thought a man knows that they know when it's the right one." And he said, "Well, I'm just getting out of a fresh divorce." Say what now? What? He's been divorced for at least 3 years now. At least three, if not four. Mel is not thinking about him, but he said he gets reminded all the time when he sees his kids about his divorce. Destiny said, "Man, you stuck. You stuck. And you need to go seek therapy." He says, "I'm not stuck." She said, "Yeah, you are. You're stuck." So again, Arion needs to take heed because he is not about to marry you. You're moved into the investment property. You're not moved in with him because he can't afford to continue to pay for you somewhere else. He's helping you go to school so you can get your degree so you can take care of yourself. He's not trying to marry him. He's still not trying to marry Ariane. Now, granted, he has to, I guess for her to still be around and take care of him. I mean, in his confessional, he said that she was wifey material. I mean, because she takes care of him, she cooks. I'm really like, are we in the 1950s? I mean, he did the cooking when Mel was there, and he would do the cooking if Mel came back. But now all of a sudden, Ariane got to do all the cooking. Yeah, I don't know about him. Anyway, so Destiny talks about how she is now in. I guess she was looking for some some items in the furniture store because she's moving from upstairs storage unit to a downstairs storage unit. Yeah, so you're still doing Madani in the storage unit, but you're doing real estate. You want to get on listings. You just got a lot going on, a lot of irons in the fire. Martell asked Destiny what's going on with her and Lance. And she's like, I feel like, I gave Lance an open book test and he failed. That was cute though. And she said, "I feel like Lance is a nice guy." She said, "But no," she said, "if I meet somebody else and someone else, I guess catches her eye, that's what she gonna do. She's not thinking about Lance." But in her confessional, she said Lance is a nice guy. She just not the guy for her. And I feel like she's mad because he never told her about the newborn, the baby, even though we told her. We, not we, but the bloggers told her. And she went to bat because I guess she called herself saving face. I will never forget that because she basically, I don't know if it was on one of her mental Mondays or wherever she came. to talk or came down to the comments and talk about y'all need to stop talking about Lance because that's not his. I think it was in the comments of somebody that said something. And she said, y'all need to stop saying stuff like that because that's not his baby. That was his daughter's baby or something to that effect. I remember that. She looked crazy. So Martell said he wants to coach Destiny. So maybe that, she can get a man. She was like, no, thank you. Absolutely not. I can do all bad all by myself. Sorry. Next, it's Letitia and Marceau and the kids, and they go out to their Scott Manor site and show them how much progress they've made. Letitia says that they've been building this house since 2019. It's 2025, Tisha. How long does it take to pour a slab of concrete? But to their defense, evidently it was a lot of limestone and different elements up on that hill, so they had to cut through that. And I guess it took years for them to get through all the limestone and rocks and boulders and to level it out, I guess. So if since that's the hard part has been done, this should like roll, right? Because they already got the slab down and putting up the beams. Those beams look mighty skinny, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway, they sitting there, they're talking about all the projects that Marceau is trying to juggle, and evidently he is working with Kimmy and Maurice on Jordan Lane. Now, I remember in one of the episodes before, Kimmy was not really looking forward to dealing with Marceau because she said Marceau is too slow. And she even brought up the point that he was trying to, do stuff with Letitia's broker's office and that he still had not, finished that. And they talked about it this time. He said, and it's still not done. She said, I want my brokerage office to be finished first. This is Letitia. And he said, okay, in about 30, 45 days. She said, okay, that's good. I heard 30. He said, 30, 45 days. She said, yeah, I heard 30. She said, well, he said, not 30 business days. No, he said 30 business days. And she was like, no. She said, I want my office done first. But then he goes into how they have Scott's Manor, Jordan Lane, and how, when he's working with Kimmy and Maurice, he said the reason why he's moving, I guess the way that it's moving is because he keeps getting conflicting, you know, communications. He said, and Leticia said, well, you probably need to listen to Kimmy because that's her project. And he's like, well, I don't know. He said, because I get something from Kimmy. Then on the other hand, next time I get something different from Maurice. And she was like, you need to listen to Kimmy. It's her project. So then she goes on to talk about how her mom is going to have a section in the house. And he says, yeah, on the other side of that mountain down there, he says, plenty of food out there, plenty of wildlife out there. He was like, mm-mm. And then she talks about how her mom is excited for getting her food truck off the ground. And she's happy for her. And he said, "Oh," he said, "I thought you wanted to talk about something positive. You would bring up your mother." He's crazy I mean, I like Marcel. I think he's funny, but he can be as ignorant too. And I feel like MJ is somewhat like him. He's picked up a lot of his dad's habits, even when, well, we'll get to it. When Letitia and him are in the vehicle, I thought she was talking to Marcel because he was being mad disrespectful. But let's continue. So the next segment, Maurice and Marquez. And Marquez stops by Maurice's place of business because he asked him to stop by because he wanted to hear his side of the story since they met with Ken and Trish. And so basically in a nutshell, Marquez is like, well, we didn't file for divorce. I didn't sign the divorce papers because cuz what she say? Trisha didn't put that they had said that they didn't have minor children. And if they had signed the paperwork and they really do have minor children, then he would have had to prove that they'd had minor children. She said, so without going all through, all of that, he said, I just didn't sign it. So Maurice is going, hmm. Yeah. He said, well, how are you and Ken getting along? And he said, well, me and Ken hooked up, and I think Maurice said, well, who you called? No, I think he said you called Ken, and he said no. Ken actually reached out to me, and he said after talking to him, he said I was a little skeptical at first. He said I was wondering like why he want to meet with me. He must have a motive. He said, but after the first hour, he said he's like okay, cool. After the third hour, he was like okay, cool. He said after the third hour, he was like I can see why Trish fell in love with him. He's just like her father. He said I wasn't like her father. Marquez is a strange egg. He is a strange egg. And he was like, the reason why it's taking so long for him and Trish to divorce is because he said Trish never wanted to divorce him. He said he was the one that filed for divorce first. He said, well, she did file. So Marie said, well, she did finally file for divorce. He said, yeah, after Ken made her. And I believe that because for the longest time, how long have her and Marquez been married? How long has Ken been living in the house doing all the fatherly and husband duties without getting a real commitment from Trish? They haven't even started looking at rings. She don't want to marry that man. And I feel like Ken is a nice guy and he does what he needs to do and help provide and all that kind of stuff. And that's fine. But Trish got some stuff with her. She do. She got some stuff with her, and I don't know what it is, but Ken better buy a clue, buy a letter, buy a vow. He need to do something. Cause I wouldn't stay there with her. Anyway. So the next scene is with Letitia and MJ. And talking about, I think it's his 18th birthday, so they're spending the day together, but they're talking about him going away to school. He wants to go to school in Michigan. I'm assuming that's where they're from. I mean, well, that's where Maurice and Marceau are from. They're from Detroit or from the D, I guess. Whatever. They say, what up, though, right? They always say that, but that's from the D. And so Letitia was like, "So what's it gonna?" She said, "You when you go away to college," she said, "that might be the last time you have to really live in Huntsville." She said, "Are you gonna miss me?" And he was like, mm. But he acted just like his father. He's got his mannerisms down pat. So she was like, "Well, I was thinking about, getting some property near the school. Like I could get a townhouse like right around the corner." And he was like, no, you don't need to do that. She was like, well, I need to just at least, visit you at least once a week or every other week. And he said, I'll call you once a week. And she was like, no, I need to be there. I need to be at arm's reach. She's like, no, I need to be there. And she was like, aren't you going to miss me? And he's like, I'll probably miss dad more. He said, because he's like a pillar in my life. And Letitia, you could tell kind of like maybe her feelings might have been hurt. Here's the thing. She said, well, what about me? What do you feel? He said, you're like that straight line that keeps me forward. He is his dad all day. All day. He is his dad. Poor Tisha. Poor Tisha. It don't look good, girl. So her thing is, and it was so cute the way she was looking at him, like you could tell that's her baby. She said, I want him to fly. I want him to go on and do what he needs to do. but it's gonna be hard. That's her only boy. You know how moms are with boys. So I feel like that bond, that mother-son bond, Tisha gonna feel that. I don't feel like Marceau gonna feel too much, but Tisha gonna feel it when it goes away. So the last but most craziest scene is this one. This scene was crazy as hell. So Ken, Trish invite Marquez over because they want to set boundaries. And Trisha also wants to invite her girlfriend Sharon because she feels like Marquez owes her an apology. Now, the last time that Sharon was there, I think Marquez came over. He had just walked in the door. He said he was following his daughter in the house because she had bags and drinks or what have you, but I don't recall him having anything in his hand helping her unless he just opened the door for her. I don't know. I didn't see her come in. But um I don't know why Trish felt like Sharon had to come. I don't feel like if he owes an apology, so does Sharon. Sharon owes him one too because she went off on him for no apparent reason, only because she probably knows about what Tristan told her, but she don't know that man from a can of paint. So why is she up in y'all business? Like why is she there listening to all of this? This is crazy. Ken comes across like he really is the father of them kids and wants kudos for being there and doing what Marquez isn't living in the house to do. And Ken says, okay, all right. I mean, Marquez is like, okay, okay. But I feel like he's always putting Marquez down. Like, I think Zaria has a dance recital or something like that. And he said, you going to be her dance? This is Ken talking to Marquez. He said, yeah, definitely. I'm going to be there. He said, I gave you $500. He was like, well, do you know how much that cost? You gave me, no, he didn't say I gave you $500. He said, I gave you money for that. He said, you gave me $500. Do you know how much that cost? And it's to say, okay, you didn't have to pay the $500 that he gave you. How about that? My gosh. I don't know why they're coming so hard at Marquez, but I blame Trish because she could put a stop to all of this. She could put a stop to all of this. But Trish is messy. I don't care for her. I feel like she's pitting these two men against each other. And the whole purpose of them coming together and even being cordial are for the kids. Ain't nobody looking at you, even though Marquez said if he wanted you, he could get you back. And I feel like I believe him when he says that. I believe she still has a light somewhere in there for Marquez, only because it's taken so long for her to even get up the gumption to divorce that man. And he was in a whole nother state. She could have been filed, but she didn't. And so here we are. Ken goes back and forth with Marquez, talking about you can't just walk up in his house, talking about how he does so much for his kids. He said, yeah, they may be your kids, but it's my family now. Uh, huh? Yeah, they're his kids, Marquez, but Ken said they're my family now. And Trisha's just like, what you gonna do about it? It's like she's egging this on, you know, and it doesn't make sense why Ken is going so hard, but he sounded crazy when he said that. Regardless, if you're there, you're the boyfriend doing like all of the fatherly husband duties, Marquez, no matter what, is still those children's father. And Marquez went into saying, the kids are traumatized by y'all. Ken gonna say, they are not traumatized. Whatever he said, whatever we go through, he said, believe me, they are not traumatized. How you know, Ken? Because they appear to be okay. You don't know what traumatizes them. You don't. Anywho, so then they get into the divorce paper thing. He said he didn't sign the divorce papers because Trish had put that the kids weren't, they didn't have no minor kids. And she said, yes, I did. And she jumps right up and goes, gets the paperwork. He said, oh, that's the edited version. He said, oh, that's the edited version. She was like, they're right here. They're right here. She was showing her girlfriend Sharon. They're right here. They're right here. And Marquez is like, where is it? Where, I don't see it. Where? Ken gets up and says, they're right here. And he reads their names out loud. Boom, 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 boom. And so he stands up, Marquez stands up. So Ken says, you need to sit down. Either sit down or get out of my house. And Ken and Marquez is like, whoa, whoa, what's all this? Like, what, And then they both get up, and then it looks like they might be, it sounds like they might be tussling. But I want to say Marquez talked about this fight. I think him when he was on Queen Sheba. I think he talked about how this was they were filming and how things went left and they got into altercation. Him and Ken. Anyway, what do y'all think about this? What do y'all think about this? I feel like Martell is still full of crap. He's still not claiming that girl. He's still not claiming her. And even though he mentions her in every episode now, I'm assuming she'll be all the way to the end. I guess she'll make an appearance at some point, but they're not bringing her on quite just yet. I guess they're warming the audience up to see how they respond. Because I know the millimeters are going crazy. If they're even watching. If they're even watching. Anyway, I just wanted to give y'all my 2 cents. Just did recap of I Am Kenough. This is crazy. And let everyone please like, share, and subscribe. And with that being said, everyone be blessed. Peace.